Hey AP students, today we're going to be going over 5.43. Um, but before we do that, I just wanted to give you a kind of a quick update. We're going to be having a little bit of change in how we do the last bit of this quarter. My original plan was to just keep going through the um, material, the Caesar, and then going on to Virgil Book 6. But after I've talked with some powers that be, and I think we've come to the conclusion that it's probably best actually to just review at this point, to review the material for the AP test. And we're kind of in a weird boat because each one of you three is kind of in a different situation. Only one person's taking the test, and then one person's a junior who's not taking it. One person's a senior who's not taking it. So, like, everybody's in a different boat. So I think what we're going to do is after today, so starting tomorrow, we're going to start reviewing, and that way, John, you won't have to be kind of divided as far as doing new material plus reviewing old material. You'll be able to just kind of focus on the stuff that's required for the test, and then um, for Ben and Kristen, you guys will be able to just review stuff we've already done, and you won't have to focus on keeping up with new stuff. So hopefully this will work out, and I want each of you to have a as best experience as you can. And I'm sorry, this is obviously none of this was ideal for us, but God knows what He's doing, and He's in control, and that is He knows what's going on better than we ever could. So. But I apologize. There's been a bit of a change in plans here. So, starting tomorrow, we will start reviewing Virgil. Okay, so again, I apologize. I know this is probably a bit of a whiplash, but we'll start reviewing Virgil, book 1. Okay, and you'll do lines 1 through 49. Okay, it'll be the first segment. And obviously you don't have to like write it out because you've already done that. So what's going to happen is I'll have some questions for you to answer and to review, and then in the videos I won't retranslate everything because again you've done that, but I'll just try to focus on some themes or things that Virgil is alluding to, references that he's making, or perhaps some interesting grammar things. Okay, so that's kind of be the plan for the rest of our time. Is we'll start reviewing. Okay, so again, I apologize. I know it's not ideal, but I think this will hopefully be best for all of us. So. Okay, so 5.43 for today. This is a longer section, but I think it's a good one to end on. The Romans are fighting back strong. So Septimo Dio. So on the 7th day of the assault, or of the attack, with a very great wind having arisen. Okay, so you got an ablative time when, then you got a nice ablative absolute. They, which will be the Nervii, they began to hurl, and then hot balls of molten white clay. Okay, so glandes would be the balls, and then ferventes will be the burning, the hot, and they're the hot balls of fusili. Okay, which will be the molten, and then argilli, molten white clay. All right. Um, and so they were hurling those things, and they were hurling heated javelins. Okay, so I imagine somehow tipped with fire or something if they can. Into the huts. All right, and these would have been, you know, the places where the barracks where the Roman men were staying, which had been covered, or which had been yeah, covered probably works well, in the Gallic fashion with straw. Okay, so the Roman huts had, you know, straw roofs basically. Okay, and so you got some nice. They point out to you ablative of manner or ablative of accordance from more, and then ablative of means with the strumentes with the straw. Okay, in casas would be a place to which. All right, and then these swiftly caught fire. Not a good thing. And the winds, because of their strength, spread the understood fire, spread the fire to every place of the camp. Okay, so fire spread like wildfire. All right. And fire was a huge problem in the ancient world, because obviously they didn't have same fire putting out mechanisms as we do, and also a lot of their building materials were very flammable. And particularly in Rome, the Rome itself, this is obviously not in Rome, but particularly in Rome, fires were a huge problem. Okay, and there are many famous fires. One of the most famous was the one that under the reign of Nero, 64 AD, I think, in which huge portions of the city were destroyed, and then Nero goes off and builds his golden house on top of the ruins. Probably not the best move there, but he did help out the people that were suffering. Unfortunately, though, he kind of like blamed it on the Christians, which was a jerk move. But Nero was full of jerk moves. Anyway, okay, so the next sentence, the enemy, or enemies, depending on how you want to, referring to obviously multiple people, but the enemy with a very great shout, with a very great clamor, just as if with the victory already acquired, and then for Exploro they give searched out, so already acquired and searched out. Another translation here, already gained and confirmed. That probably sounds a little bit better for that. Ablative absolute. So the enemy began to advance the towers and the sheds. Okay, so these are the testudo, or excuse me, testudo, was that tortoiseshell formation a lot of times in military, but it was also used for siege works as kind of like a just a covering to protect those going up against the wall. So they advance the towers and the sheds, and they began to do that and began to climb the wall with scaling ladders, or with ladders. All right, ablative of means there. Okay. Aut tanta, but so great was the courage of the soldiers and that presence of mind that, okay, and this will be a result clause here, when they were scorched, when they were burned on all sides by flame, and were pressed by a very great multitude of spears, weapons, and understood that all their baggage and all their fortunes, all their opportunities were burning. And then non modo, not only did no one depart from the wall for the sake of moving away, okay, so for the sake of like leaving, abandoning, migrating. So not only did no one leave the wall, go away from the wall, but almost, excuse me, but not even did almost anyone look back. Okay, so ne quidem is the not even, quisquam anyone, and then look back, res spicaret. And then all fought very sharply, or very fiercely, and very bravely. Okay, and they've got a nice note here. Roman soldiers did not fight for free, obviously. They received pay, plunder, and bonuses, and they kept their wealth with them. Similarly, a general had to carry a cash box with him to pay the soldiers and to purchase supplies. The fires that the Nervii kindled threatened to destroy the soldiers' earthly possessions. Okay, so the soldiers weren't even, they were fighting in such a way that they didn't even give heed to those earthly possessions. They were very, very impressive show of courage. All right. So verbs of result clause would be de cederet, respicaret, pugnarent, and then you've got that cum clause in there, which is a probably a either a circumstantial or a temporal. Might be a temporal that's jumped into the subjunctive because it's in a result clause, so that might be why that's in the subjunctive. All right, so let's see here. Other fun things in here. Militum would be genitive of possession. All right. By flame, ablative of means. Great multitude, ablative of means. And then of the spears, probably a partitive. Great multitude of spears. And then you've got some indirect statement. They understood that all their baggage and fortunes were burning. Let's see here. For the sake of moving away, the de migrandi would be a lovely gerund. Okay. And then you've got de wallo, ablative of separation. All right. And then you got some superlative adverbs with acerime and fortissime. Very exciting stuff. All right. And then line 15, hic dies. This day was by far the gravest, the most serious for our men. Okay, your note tells you dative of a reference there. But nevertheless, it had this outcome. All right, and then you get a result clause that on that day a very great number of the enemy was wounded and also killed. Okay. And then for oot, they tell you can take it as when. Also, I've seen a couple people do in as much as. Okay. So you can either say when or in as much as. They had pressed themselves closely beneath the wall itself, and those in the rear did not give a way out to those in front, or to the first ones. Okay? So in other words, they crowded themselves in so tightly when they were attacking the wall that they just kind of got slaughtered up there, and the guys in the front couldn't get out. So it was bad news for the Nervii on that particular front. All right. And so notice there you've got oot with the indicative. Okay. So that means it's a kind of a temporal clause. So you can say when, or like I said already, other people say in as much as. All right. And then line 19, Paulum quidem, indeed, with the flame having been sent between a little, or interrupted is another translation here, and with, and in a certain place with the tower having been thrust and touching the wall, the centurions of the third cohort retired from that place where they were standing, or in which they were standing, and they withdrew all their own men, all their men, with a gesture and with calls, with voices, with shouts. They began to invite the enemy, or to summon the enemy, if they wanted to enter. Okay? So they withdraw from this one place, and then they call out to the enemy to be like, hey, come in here. It's a trap. All right, so looking back there, you've got ablative absolute with intermissa flamma. You've got placeware with quodam loco. You've got turia docta contingenta, another ablative absolute. Centurions of third cohort, from that place. You notice the loco is separated from the ao. It's that rhetorical device known as hyperbaton. Okay, so when there's a great, good size separation. All right. By the gesture and by voices, by calls, ablative of means. And then you've got this little condition, which they give you a note on down below. It's gone into the subjunctive because it's in, it's kind of like implied indirect speech, indirect statement. Okay. And then of which, referring back to the enemies, of which no one dared to advance. Okay, so the enemy did not want to take the bait. Of which a fabulous partitive genitive. All right. Then from every part, they were driven off with stones having been hurled, and the tower was set aflame. Okay? So, there we go. That's the last bit of new Caesar that we will be doing. Again, I apologize for the kind of change in plans, but hopefully it will work out for everyone's benefit to kind of focus your time a little bit more intentionally. Please let me know if you have any questions as we kind of transition here. So for tomorrow, again, we're going to transition back to Virgil, start reviewing Book 1, lines 1 through 49. Okay, and you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to show me a picture of your translation. I'll just have some questions up for you on probably on LMS regarding those lines. So just just answer those questions, and that'll be it. So hopefully pretty simple and straightforward. All right. So I love you guys, miss you all, and I'll talk to you later.